Welcome to the We Are Wake Tech podcast with your host, Wake Tech President, Dr. Scott Ralls.
Hi, I'm Scott Ralls, and welcome to the We Are Wake Tech podcast. This is a special podcast because it's a special time of year, the best time of year at Wake Tech. It's graduation week, and we have two of our outstanding graduates of the 2023 class, soon to be college graduates, Taj Hewitt and Rachel McGee. Thank you, Rachel and Taj, for joining us, and thank you for joining us on this episode of the We Are Wake Tech podcast. So let's dive right in. Now, this one's special because we have graduates. We're going to tell some graduation stories, tell your story, and typically we start off our podcast by asking our guests to tell us, particularly if they worked at Wake Tech, how did they get to Wake Tech? Well, you're students at Wake Tech, soon to be graduates, this Saturday at graduation. So tell us a little bit about the Taj, and then we'll talk about the Rachel story of getting to Wake Tech, because you guys have some great stories about your journey to Wake Tech. Rachel, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I came to Wake Tech in January of 2022, I think. Yeah, it's 2023 this year.
Some of those COVID years blended
right.
together.
But I originally graduated from high school in 2012, and I went to UNC Greensboro. I was studying to do high school science education there, and I spent a few years there, had some ups and downs, some struggles, financially, mental health, that kind of thing, and eventually I dropped out from that program. Mm-hmm. I worked in the restaurant business for about 6 years before I decided to come back to school because of COVID. And, COVID, it kind of, honestly, for me, was a blessing, even though for a lot of people it was
in what way?
A rough time.
What was it? How was it a blessing? In what way?
Well, it allowed me to save a lot of money because I was working all the time because I was working in a restaurant. Restaurants considered essential business. So I was able to keep my job and work through the whole thing, and I actually saved up enough money to buy a house, and I moved out here to Raleigh with that money to buy that house. And it actually gave me the kind of push that I needed to see that this was maybe not the job I wanted to do for the rest of my life, like work in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And decided I want to get back into science because I love science.
That's how you started, and that's what you want to come back to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I decided to come to Wake Tech just because, of the awesome programs that they had, from everything I looked at, from all the people I talked to, they said, oh yeah, Wake Tech has great programs. They're a great school. So that's why I decided to come up here instead of, some other community college.
Well, we're so glad you did. Was that a scary time when, you made that, you'd been away from a little while and you're coming back? Do you recall, was that something that was easy for you to say, I'm going to do this, I always knew I was going to do it, or did you have a little bit of trepidation coming back?
Well, I was a little bit concerned, but just because from my history of going to school before, and I didn't do well then, and I was afraid that maybe I might not do well here again. But I had support, my fiance, and he really pushed me to get back into it, and he, he's supporting me by, I'm not having to work full-time. I did work full-time my first semester, and then my second and third semester, I only worked 30 hours, but that's still
still a lot of time and going to school.
A lot of time. Yeah. But I was working 50, 60 hours a week before I came back. So he was able to help, support me financially, be able to help pay for tuition. Obviously I did get a foundation scholarship as well, so that did help me financially as well. But, he was able to help me, financially, morally, all that.
And will he be at graduation on Saturday?
He will, yeah.
What's his name?
Michael.
Michael. I look forward to meeting Michael. Graduation it's a celebration for the graduates, but the families and the supporters and the fiancés and everybody who's there, it's their celebration as well. So we're excited for you, but thankful for Michael too for being in your corner, because you have blown it away while you've been here. So when you may have had some concerns about coming back, you certainly excelled, being one of our Academic Excellence Award winners, and so we're really proud of you. We'll talk a little bit more about what you're doing, but let's turn to Taj, because Taj, you were not here in this county. You kind of, people may hear as soon as you have that wonderful Jamaican accent.
Oh, yeah.
So how does a kid from Jamaica come to Wake Tech?
Yeah, so great story from Rachel, but mine's a bit different. Obviously, I was finishing up high school. I was 18 in Jamaica still, and then COVID came. And COVID came, and that kind of made me realize that how poor the education system in Jamaica was. And I knew that, if I want to reach somewhere in my educational goals, then I need a first world education. And luckily, my aunt, who I stay with right now, she went to Wake Tech, and she went to NC State. She's been there for about 30 years. Mm-hmm. So it was very easy for me to, trust her in being able to come here, and her showing me around and showing me the city and how to get around society. And, in doing research of Wake Tech, I saw all the programs that they had. I saw the transfer program. Of course, they're a lot cheaper than going directly to a four-year university, which is why many people go to Wake Tech. And yeah, I just said, I'm just going to go, and I didn't look back.
And your aunt, if I recall, your family has a restaurant in this area?
Yeah, she has a restaurant. Yeah.
In Cary?
No, in Raleigh.
Raleigh?
Yeah.
Well, I'll give it a shout out in case anybody's out. What's the name of the
It's
restaurant?
called Jamaican Grill.
Jamaican Grill.
Yeah. Off
So-
Atlantic Springs Road.
Atlantic Springs. So this podcast is brought to you by Jamaican Grill.
Free sponsorship.
Yeah, we're glad that you made it here, and excited for what you're going to do. So let's turn it a little bit. We'll go back to Rachel, because let's talk a little bit about, we talked about how you got to Wake Tech, but let's talk about Wake Tech and then where you're going, because each of you are unique. Rachel, you went into a unique program for us. It's a new program for us, Biotechnology. I also noticed you were a soccer player with us.
I was.
Yeah.
I played last semester in fall of 2022. I had a lot of fun. I played soccer when I was a lot younger. I didn't have it in high school because I went to an early college high school, and it was like the early days of our
early college.
So, we didn't have like any established, teams or anything. So, I didn't play any in high school, and then I joined an intramural club when I was at UNCG. So, I've dabbled in soccer for a while, but, being able to join the team here and see like how, a college level team plays and be able to join that group and have that sort of friendship with everybody, I enjoyed that a lot.
That's great. It's one of the things that seems so great about you is that you jump into things, like soccer, but you also jumped into a new program for us, Biotechnology. How did you choose Biotechnology, one of our newest programs here at Wake Tech?
So, that's actually one of the other things that, COVID led me to. Because, like I said, I've always loved science, but seeing the COVID vaccines, all the information going on out there about like, how they are made and all that, and that really piqued my interest. And I said, oh well, that seems like that would be a really cool job to have, to be able to make or develop vaccines or some other kind of pharmaceutical product or something like that. So that's kind of what led me to biotechnology.
Okay. So COVID really did have some positive impacts in multiple ways in that way. Well, we'll come back in a little bit and talk about what you want your future to be. I am going to note, if those of you who are listening on our podcast and you don't see this right now, you won't notice Rachel's beautiful pink hair. And I want to note that she has done such an outstanding job as one of our students. She's winner of one of our Academic Excellence Awards, but I remember the Dean of Biotechnology, Leslie Eisenhower, told me that she was going to tell you for graduation to dye your hair extra pink that day. I don't know if she told you that, because Because you have certainly shown while at Wake Tech and went to shine at graduation.
She did tell me, and I actually told her I'm planning on freshening up on Friday. So
There
yeah,
you go.
right before.
I look forward to seeing you on Saturday. And Taj, so you are combining, well, tell us what you decided to do coming to Wake Tech, because it also reflects on where you came from, but also where you're going.
Right. So I've always been involved with agriculture. My dad is a farmer in Jamaica, and I've always loved creating things and building things. So that's why I want to do something within agricultural engineering. I saw the major at State, and so I decided I was going to get my associates in science from Wake Tech, because that was the program that could lead me directly into the program at State. And my experience at Wake Tech has been, incredible. There's so many opportunities here for every student to take advantage of. You just have to put yourself out there and go for it. When I just came here, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about Wake Tech. Walking around campus, getting lost. I remember my first class of Wake Tech, I was sitting in the class for about 10 minutes, and then I realized I was in the wrong class.
It's happened to many of us in college, yeah.
And so I just had to say, can I go to the bathroom? And I just left. And then I found my right class after that. But no, yeah, it's so many opportunities at Wake Tech. Just like she did, I also got a foundation scholarship.
You were not just a scholarship, you were one of our Scott Scholars, which is our most prestigious scholarship. Tell us a little bit about what that meant for you.
No, that meant a lot. It definitely took off the financial burden, so I could really focus on my studies. That semester, when I got the Scott Scholarship, I was taking 18 credits. So, not being able to, or not having to worry about tuition really made it easy for me to just focus on the studies and then focus on other things like volunteering and, SGA and, the Michael Ure show, things like that. And it was definitely worth it. I feel like something like the Scott Scholarship led up to this point, because I, last Thursday, actually got a call that I got the Goodnight Scholarship.
Oh, great.
Oh,
I did. That's terrific. Wonderful.
From State, actually. So, yeah.
Well, tell everybody a little bit about the Goodnight Scholarship, and we'll do another shout out to Jim and Ann Goodnight. Jim Goodnight, founder of SAS, who's been such a great benefactor throughout this region, but also the Goodnight Scholarship at the State for community college transfers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big thing. It's a big scholarship, and what they really focus on is preparing students to give back to society and the community in the future. So they're, in a sense, investing in the students, so that in the future, when, hopefully when we get successful, we can give back and help other students to reach their educational and career goals. And yeah, it's a full ride scholarship, so it completely nullifies the burden of tuition. And then it gives you other opportunities. They have study abroad programs. They have, programs in the country. I heard some guys went to Alabama, other places, Texas. And I have a friend that got the Goodnight Scholarship last year, and he's in Denmark right now. So, opportunities to really expose you to the world.
Absolutely.
It's crucial.
Well, congratulations. You should be very proud. That's quite two prestigious scholarships already.
That's very exciting.
That's terrific. And you're somewhat of a celebrity in town, because when we had our big Ignite event, 750 business and community leaders, you were one of the participants in telling your story, and were quite popular. And so I'm sure people around town know you. And, it's great to have you on
fun
the podcast.
story, because it's, the whole theme was based on racing, and I'm Jamaican, so it kind of went hand in hand. A bit of a coincidence, but unfortunately, I'm not fast.
You're not Usain Bolt.
No, I can't. But
Let's talk about. So we've talked a little bit about how you got here, your story being here, which are great stories here. So what's next? Where do you go from here? I know, Taj, will come back to you, because you're taking that next step to NC State, which is our top transfer choice. I know you're following in your your aunt's footsteps in that way. But Rachel, you're into our biotechnology degree. There's so much around here that's biotech, and so what's next for you?
There are a couple things. I did apply to NC State. I received a waitlist notification. So I am, I am a little
Still figuring it out.
upset about that.
Yeah.
But, I understand because they had something like 30,000 students apply this year. Oh, yeah. But, I also did lab tech position here at Wake Tech with NC Bio Network, and I did apply for a job with them as well. And I haven't really looked into too much else just because I'm not sure what the flexibility is around class scheduling and whatever, just depending on if I get accepted somewhere, where else I'm going to go to school. But I'm very excited to move forward with a higher level of education just because I want to shoot for the top. Like I said, I would love to do development within a biotech company, and you do have to have a higher level of education for that as well. So I'm really hoping to maybe even go up into PhD.
Tosh, so what's next for you? NC State?
Yeah.
What do you see?
Yeah, so firstly, NC State. I'm going to be in their biological and agricultural engineering technology program. It's pretty long, but yeah, I'm going to be in that program. Hopefully I get to work with, drones and irrigation systems, greenhouses, all these modern types of agriculture. And, all at the same time, I want to play soccer at State. I want to, volunteer as well, because I volunteer at some gardens and farms in Raleigh. Be involved and be able to actually help, which is, the whole point of the Good Night Scholarship. And after that, we'll see what happens. I might go back to Jamaica. That's the plan. Go back to Jamaica and see how I can help out there. But if I see opportunity here, wherever I need to be, I'm sure I can make a difference.
Well, I was honestly really surprised about the number of sport opportunities that students have. I have been to a community college before because, I was on the early college campus and they had no sports available to us. So I was really excited that we have sports here, and I think a lot of students still don't know that.
I'd probably have to say the level of diligence among the students, because I feel like there's this perception of community colleges that, a lot of people go there and just completely waste time, which they do. But what surprised me is the amount of students that are actually trying their best and trying very hard to transfer to a university or just get good grades in general. I mean, especially in my classes, when you're in calculus or chemistry, things that everyone is usually pulling their weight and trying to do the best that they can. I mean, everyone's in a different situation, so you can't really compare everyone equally. But I'd say that's what surprised me, to see so many different people all working very hard.
I think I would say that, regardless of what kind of student you are, there's always going to be something out here on one of these campuses for you. If you just want to be a loner and you just want to go to your classes, that's fine. You can do that. Or there's, so many clubs. There's on-campus activities. There's also all kinds of supports that we have here at Wake Tech, like the Care Center and all that, ILC, that a lot of students get support from. And so if you don't think that you have the capacity to do it yourself, there's support here if you don't have it elsewhere, outside.
Taj, what would you say?
Yeah, I would it's kind of a contribution to what Rachel said. I would tell anyone that's just starting Wake Tech, if they want to make the best of their Wake Tech experience, they need to put themselves out there and don't be afraid to take opportunity. Because there's so many opportunities at Wake Tech, and a lot of people don't realize that there's so many there right in front of them. And I feel like it's important when you go out there and present yourself well to, the clubs, the teachers, the professors, whoever it might be, then other opportunities will fall in your lap. And so it's kind of just like, don't be afraid to go out there and show off your best self.
Well, you two both, Taj and Rachel, you've both been great exemplars of what happens when you grab opportunities. And there are so many opportunities here at Wake Tech, and you've grabbed those opportunities, and we're proud of you, proud of your accomplishments. We're going to be even more proud as you go out into the world and make impacts in agriculture, technology, and biotechnology, and whatever, and wherever it may be. But we're proud that you are Wake Tech students and soon to be Wake Tech graduates. And we're thankful for our listeners and our followers of our Wake Tech podcast, We Are Wake Tech, for joining us today. It's been a special podcast because it's a special week, graduation week at Wake Tech, and we've been so fortunate to have two outstanding new graduates now from Wake Tech, Taj Hewitt and Rachel McGee. Thank you for joining us on the We Are Wake Tech podcast. I'm Scott Ralls, your host. Please tune in next month for the next episode of the We Are Wake Tech podcast. You can find us wherever you look for podcasts, Spotify, Apple. We're there, so look for us, rate us, and join us next time on the We Are Wake Tech podcast.
I'm Lori Clowers with the latest news from Wake Tech. More than 1,600 students are celebrating their success as new Wake Tech graduates. The college held 3 graduation ceremonies on May 6th. About half the graduates will be transferring to universities to pursue bachelor's degrees, while the others will be going straight into the workforce in career fields such as healthcare, IT, biotech, business, hospitality, transportation, and the skilled trades. This year, 12 high school students earned degrees, tuition-free as part of the Career and College Promise program, along with another 82 students who earned degrees while attending one of our early college high schools. You can watch recordings of the graduation ceremonies on our website. A day before graduation, several pinning ceremonies were held for students in health sciences programs. 63 students graduated from the Martha Mann Smith School of Nursing and are ready to go to work as registered nurses. Wake Tech celebrated local entrepreneurs at its first annual Busy Awards. The awards recognized Launch Holly Springs as the Program of the Year and Silver Lake Construction as Business of the Year. The event also featured the Main Street Entrepreneurs Accelerator Pitch Competition. 3 students were awarded grants to develop their small business ideas, while 3 Launch Wake County graduates walked away with a cash prize to help grow their business. The event was made possible by college benefactor Mike Conlin. The Wake Tech Foundation welcomes a new Senior Director of Development. Tracy Sanders comes to Wake Tech with more than 15 years of nonprofit development experience. The end of the semester brought opportunities for students to showcase their knowledge and skills. 56 students in science, technology, engineering, and math programs presented their research project findings. They worked as paid interns through the unique STEM Academic Research and Training Program. More than 100 engineering students competed in the exciting Rube Goldberg competition. This event challenges teams to design and build a contraption that can perform the simple task of popping a balloon in a not-so-simple way. The top 5 teams won cash prizes. For students in Wake Tech's Baking and Pastry Arts program, it was Baker's Row. This popular end-of-semester event lets them set up shop in the lobby of Building K on the Scott Northern Wake campus to sell their delicious homemade treats, and I hear it was a sellout. And finally, more than 500 job seekers converged on Wake Tech for its first ever job fair. The college has dozens of openings for staff and experienced faculty to teach high-demand courses. Interested? Visit jobs.waketech.edu to learn more. And that's the latest news from Wake Tech.
Hi, I'm Ashley Popio with Wake Tech's Individualized Learning Center, also known as the ILC, and I have some tips for how to succeed in your summer courses. Tip number 1, don't take too many summer classes at the same time. Summer classes at Wake Tech and at many universities have an abbreviated schedule, which means that they pack the same amount of information into a shorter period of time. This means you'll be expected to complete more coursework over a fewer number of days and at a faster pace than in fall classes. So if you take too many classes, you may become overwhelmed. Tip number 2, note any large final projects that are due for your summer classes and start working on those immediately. You'll have less time to complete those final projects than usual, so get going on those right away. Tip number 3, make sure to check what the absentee percentage is that's allowed for your course. Since summer classes are shorter, you're allowed to miss fewer classes and still pass. Make sure you know what that number is. Tip number 4, summer classes are summer classes for professors too. Professors may go on vacation over the weekends and be unavailable to answer your questions. So make sure that you know your professor's office hours and read your assignments long before they are due so you can ask questions while your professor is still available. The increased pace for summer courses applies to professors too. So that may lead to you not knowing what grade you got on your previous assignments since your professor hasn't had a chance to grade it. Make sure that you understand all of your directions so that you don't make the same mistake on 2 assignments back to back before you get feedback from a professor. And finally, visit your local tutorial center. At Wake Tech, that's the ILC, the Individualized Learning Center. Tutors at the ILC and at many tutorial centers can help you create a study schedule for the increased speed of summer classes. We here at Wake Tech are available Monday through Sunday from noon until 8 p.m. online, and we also have many in-person hours at lots of our campuses that you can find out by going to our website. We are happy to help you on nearly any subject that you can study at Wake Tech, and we look forward to seeing you and setting you on the right track for summer success.
Thank you for listening to the We Are Wake Tech podcast. Join us next month for more insightful conversations about the programs and people of Wake Tech and how the college changes lives every day. Be sure to subscribe to your favorite podcast app to have each episode delivered right to your computer or mobile device. For more, find us at podcast.waketech.edu. To learn more about Wake Tech's exceptional educational opportunities, visit waketech.edu.